Paul Cocoy. Mr. President, how are you,
Good
sir?
morning, Tavis. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Holding all politicians accountable to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First. We're first thing every single day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God Almighty, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. Man, let's talk about it. We do have a lot to talk about today, more than ever, on the day after this election. The way we do things around here, and I suppose we'll be getting a little bit more back to normal now that we have passed this midterm election milestone. Hour one, we look at the local, the left coast, California, LA County, and your local city. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. What a great day to talk to Dr. Gerald Horne, who will be joining me in hour three, as he is so thorough in his analysis. He's an author and a scholar who reads, he told me, cover to cover, 7 newspapers every single day at a minimum. So he'll have a lot to say about what happened and insights about the night that just passed, the day that just passed. And, of course, I love to have a partner in politics. Today is no exception. In fact, it's kind of a funny day for politicking with a partner. He's the founder and CEO of ES Advisors, which is a policy think tank policy group, also working on campaigns. He is a political strategist and a media star. And me and Mr. Ed Sanders, I think we talked for about 300 hours yesterday in one single day. Ed Sanders, welcome.
Good morning.
Do you have any voice left?
I know. One, a rainy day in Los Angeles, but, the ability to do live coverage and talk about in real time, what was happening nationally in the election and trying to digest it and distill it out was a lot of fun, an interesting experience. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we were literally on Fox Soul TV from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m., 5 hours straight. It was a fun, challenging, and enlightening experience. But, if you had to distill your takeaway, and we'll go obviously into the weeds, but right now, to kick off the show, if you had to distill your takeaway from yesterday's midterm into a sentence, what would you say?
It really was like, where was the red wave, right? We went into the night expecting, to see this wash of Republican victories, particularly on the East Coast, right? And, we were comparing the results of last night to prior elections, and if you think back to 2016 and how surprised we were when the call came in that Trump had won Florida over Hillary Clinton, and you had this shocking moment, and then, the rest of the country started to follow suit. That didn't happen last night. In fact, it happened in the opposite, that the surprise was how well Democrats ran, particularly in what they call that blue wall of the Midwest, where they picked up that Senate seat. Wes Moore elected the first African-American governor of Maryland. The governor of Wisconsin holding on. So, it's interesting. We talked about the map being remade, right? Of how Democrats path to power. You can see that the Midwest is still in play. Ohio, maybe not so much, but there are still some critical states there where Democrats have a base.
Yeah,
ultimately the South, right? No matter what, and I do think Raphael Warnock is going to win this race.
It looks like he's going to pull it out. Yeah, it looks like he might.
I mean, we may need to travel, and everyone might need to pack a bag and go down to Atlanta for a couple weeks here to December 6th. But I think he's going to win this thing one way or the other. And that's still just an amazing story in itself, right? A Democrat wins in Georgia. A Confederate state is that close.
Right.
We're tracking, we were also tracking sort of the national, the number of African American candidates running in governor's races and Senate races. It was an incredible number of African American candidates across this country running for higher office, and really just a wide swath of candidates, all impressive in their own right. Some of them fell short, but ultimately just a beautiful thing to see them on the ballot across this country.
Yeah, and of course here in Los Angeles, there's a lot of counting still to do, but we see some pretty clear trends emerging, and I would, some of them seem pretty insurmountable in terms of votes counted. But again, I know some of these things can change. The LA Times headline is Villanueva at risk as Luna takes big early lead in LA County Sheriff's race. Okay, they're playing it safe, and I guess it's possible it could still switch. But to me, I'm bringing this up because I think it was one of the most important races that we had here locally, was whether or not this sheriff would continue and be given another term. And, of course, he upset McDonald, who was a first-term sheriff, which was unheard of. If that happens twice in a row, that would really be telling. And at this point, Robert Luna's got 56.7, close to 57% to Villanueva's 43%. My impression, and this is mostly based on the primary, is that the more progressive, more liberal, more moderate votes seem to come in later. That's what we saw at least last election. But let's talk about that when we come forward. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Roll out loud. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. They're located conveniently on Redondo Beach Boulevard at Western, and they specialize credit, bad credit, bankruptcies, or repos. The folks at Gardena Nissan will take fantastic care of you and help you get into the car you need and deserve at a spectacular price. Visit them today or shop online at GardinaNissan.com. The all-new Gardena Nissan is proud to be a partner of KBLA, and right now during their fall sales event, 0 down delivers any new or pre-owned car at Gardena Nissan. For the best deals, log on to GardinaNissan.com. 0 down on approved credit. GardinaNissan.com. Roll out. What make you?
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
It's probably just allergies. I'm probably good to fly. I probably don't have COVID.
Take the probably out of your plans. Test for COVID-19 if you've been exposed, when you're feeling sick, and before and after traveling and gathering. Learn more at covid19.ca.gov. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One and a member FDIC.
Their ancestors' favorite radio morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
So Ed Sanders is here with me. Before I go a little deeper into this idea of, when we find out who really wins and what ballots come in when, let's talk about your victory dance that you must be doing this morning after literally years of work to work towards banning flavored tobacco. Looks like you got the W here.
Yeah, thank you. I think first things first, it is not surprising to me, right? I think the role that the tobacco industry has played in, one, targeting young people with, the candy flavored tobacco. Most people saw that and saw the insidious nature of it. And we've talked about this in the past, I'm really emboldened by the removal of menthol from the market, particularly how it pertains to African American health. When you look at how a tobacco industry took menthol as a product and targeted at specifically at the African American community, that makes no sense that in 2022 that we're not correcting that. It leads to too much Black death, and we just can't allow an American industry to do that. So really happy. I think the voters saw fit and agreed with us on that, and I think the last that I saw was north of 62%, maybe 63% in terms of the numbers. So really happy about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, and yeah, it's a strong victory, and it's a precursor to the Biden administration has already said they are looking at banning this nationally, but that would probably be in another year or more, right?
Yeah, it'll take the Biden administration some time to move through. They are currently sifting through a number of different applications for, approval to go into the market. And so most have been denied, but there's still a process that they're going through. And then I'm sure that this referendum, or particularly the law, SB 793, is going to find its way into the courts. The tobacco industry isn't going to go quietly. Folks have spoken legislatively at the local level and at the state level, but they're going to look to the courts for to try to keep their profits.
Yeah, well, that's a battle to come. But so for today, in the state of California, a victory in an area that you've been putting some effort into. So right now, with the mayor's race, we see almost a statistical tie, a slight lead for Caruso, less than a percentage point. And remember, of course, in the primary, when the national news was quick to report that Congresswoman Karen Bass had been defeated, and then by the time they finished counting the votes, she was up by 7 points. So my feeling is that this close of a race, 50.8% is what they're saying. He has 49.2% is what they're saying. She has a difference of less than 10,000 votes, and that's only 14% counted. It looks like the trend line, if it holds to the last pattern and what we've seen with other things in LA County, it's probably going to end up being a Bass victory, correct?
That's the hope, right? I think, again, with any election, it's we're prognosticating, right?
Yeah. You never know, right? Yeah.
You never do know. But, the relatively small percentage of votes cast does make this really early to try to develop trend lines. I spent a fair amount of election nights over in Norwalk watching, the ballots come in and, watching the counts. It is a time-consuming process. It's an incredible operation that's run to count the votes. I mean, you can imagine how large LA County is, and getting the votes from the farthest reaches of the county in so that they can start the process. They're usually helicoptering in batches and whatnot. It's a process. And so, I take these initial returns, much like you did, that I think in the long run, the day of vote is going to push Bass to victory, and you'll start to see her totals climb. But this is an interesting race. When you look at it, what are we saying, $100 million that Rick Caruso spent on his campaign? That is an incredible amount of money. I mean, we've put that in perspective. I think Bass has outspent maybe 10, 12 to 1 in this race, and as competitive as it is, you simply can't imagine that given the amount of money spent.
Yeah, I mean, if I spend $100 million and I'm up less than a percentage point, I'm not going to be happy about that. But I guess I would if I won. But again, there's only 14% counted there, so we're going to be in election mode for a while with some of these races. Actually, the sheriff's race has tightened since I last checked the numbers, but by tightened, he still has Luna still has a huge lead. I mean, it's over Villanueva. So, and that's with 36% of the vote counted.
Yeah, that race is. Certainly there were two marquee races, right? The LA mayor's race and the county sheriff, and just an interesting environment, right? I think the conversation around crime and the perceived increase in crime coming out of COVID, how the electorate would react. I also look at the type of candidate and type of sheriff that Villanueva was. And if we pull back out and go nationally for a second, the Trump allied candidates across the country did not fare well last night.
Yay.
And right. And so, the election deniers, the silliness that we've seen in our electoral system the last few years didn't do well. And we had a lot of that in the sheriff's race, right? Just this entrenched sheriff that didn't want to respond to an oversight committee that, thumbed his nose at the county board of supervisors, and I think people saw that, right? And, I referenced the Trump candidates not doing well on it, and I think that has a lot to do with Villanueva's poor performance so far.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of exceptions to that rule, I guess DeSantis, but he's his own creature. But for the most part, yeah, surprising. And, this, to your point, where is the red wave? The Senate is still up for grabs. 49 seats have gone to Republicans, 48 to Democrats, and 3 still uncalled, which means the largest lead that Republicans could have in the Senate is 2 votes. So, that wouldn't be my favorite outcome, but it's certainly, not a shellacking And
it's not a shellacking.
No.
It's honestly, I think the Democrats are going to hold the Senate. You know,
it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at Nevada and Arizona, and you know the races right now, you know, are favorable for the Democrats. You know, in Arizona, Kelly is up, I think, maybe 100,000 votes or something like that. And, you know, there's still some Republican votes to come in that they think, but they don't think there's enough to overtake him. So, you know, if he wins that and in Nevada, Cortez Masto is still waiting on votes from, I think, Clark County, you know, largely the Las Vegas area. So you can expect her to push up as well, and she may take the lead. And if that happens, you've got your Senate with the pickup in Pennsylvania. It's really incredible that there wasn't this wave, and in fact, the rebound for Democrats has really been strong this year.
And so some folks are going to say that Democratic strategy of boosting the ridiculous candidates has paid off. But we won't say that if Herschel Walker walks away with Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, look, Herschel is just really one of these problematic candidates, right? You know, and I open it by just saying, you know, I've never heard anyone ask him the question, hey, Herschel, what committee do you want to serve on, right? And now ask yourself, you know, do you want to see Herschel Walker in an oversight position on budget? Do you want him on the Foreign Policy Committee? Where do you think this guy could sit in the United States Senate and have a meaningful role? And, you know, without being just overtly cruel, but it has to be said, you know, he's just not that sharp, right? And it's insulting for the Republican Party to put him forward like that, you know, as an African-American, you know, a Democratic senator, an African-American Democratic senator. I take offense at the Republican Party doing that, right? That he could win. I mean, honestly, I think any Republican would have matched his numbers. Truth be told, I think if they had, you know, one of their regular conservative, you know, white candidates, that they probably would have won the thing outright in the midterm.
I think that's right. Yeah, someone that didn't have baby mamas and all that stuff. You know, it's interesting. Again, in Nevada, the campaign of Senator Catherine Cortez Masto asked the courts to keep the polls open till 9 because supposedly in Nevada you can vote as long as you're in line by 7, but there were people in line, in long lines to vote still at 7, and the judge denied that and did not allow those polling places to stay open. So that, to me, is really problematic. I mean, because if the rules say if I'm in line by 7, I get to vote, then how do you not keep that polling place open so I can vote?
Yeah, that, you know, what you highlight, and you know, mind you, you know, you can go across the country. There are literally thousands of lawsuits filed, you know, in sort of emergency fashion on election day. But, you know, from a Secretary of State's perspective, you know, how are these states okay with the size of these lines? Right?
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either. You know what I mean? We've set up budgets to hire electioneering staff, and by the way, those staff do a phenomenal job, Dominique. You know what I mean? When you look at the number of people that administer the vote across not just this county but across the country, it really is. It's a lot of fun because you get into the poll, you see your neighbor, and you know they see you, and you're casting the vote. Where there's these long lines, you know, it's really problematic. And you and I know it's really problematic when it's in communities of color.
We are going to take a look at some news, some traffic, and some sports. And then we are talking midterm elections. That's Ed Sanders and Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Republican Senate candidate African-American Herschel Walker is telling his supporters in Georgia it's going to be a long night. Here's Trey Thomas.
Walker spoke late Tuesday night in Atlanta and said it could be a while before the final results are in.
If some of you have to go home, you can wake up tomorrow morning and see that the new senator for the great state of Georgia is Herschel Walker.
The former football star is in a tight race against Democratic incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock.
I say to my church every Sunday, keep the faith and keep looking up.
If the race is too close to call, a runoff will be held in Georgia on December. I'm Trey Thomas.
And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
New blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If the Rams decide not to re-sign Odell Beckham Jr., he won't have any trouble moving on to another team. Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said he's very interested in signing one of the NFL's premier wide receivers. The New York Giants have also inquired about Beckham. Because Beckham is a free agent, teams can talk to him. Beckham is still in L.A. rehabbing from a torn ACL that he suffered in the Super Bowl. A schedule change for the Chargers. The NFL moved their game against the Chiefs on November 20th from Sunday afternoon to the league's Sunday night showcase on NBC. The Lakers and Clippers face each other tonight at Crypto.com Arena. The Clippers are the home team. The Lakers are trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
If you have certain chronic conditions such as heart disease, asthma, diabetes, and you're 19 years of age or older, 52, 36, 42, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I'm going to ask my doctor about vaccinated.
With Prevnar 20.
Extra, extra, read all about it, read all about it, read all about it.
In recent editions of the Los Angeles Standard newspaper, read about HBCU's impact in Los Angeles. The Screening Room LA meeting at the Gathering Spot in West Adams, giving black filmmakers a place to showcase their work. Tacona and Crenshaw Boulevard, Malcolm X Boulevard. Hotville Chicken brings Nashville hot chicken to the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. The Engineer Factory, preparing black children for STEM majors and professions. Jan Terry addressing the homelessness and housing crisis as she runs for Congress. Shauna Charles, career in public relations. Local black hiking groups. And Los Angeles Philharmonic Inglewood headquarters hosting free music classes for local children. Read about these stories at LAStandardNewspaper.com and follow this black-owned publication on Facebook and Instagram.
Headlines. Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it? Have you heard it?
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or go to diversitycertification.org. That's diversitycertification.org. The standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I do thank you. Ed Sanders is with me with us on KBLA this morning, and we're always live on YouTube, even on sleepy post-election days, so you can check us out, KBLA 1580. YouTube, we're on all of the social media platforms. We wish you would like, subscribe, and follow us there. And you can find me at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima, and then radio. Want to talk about what we do know and what has been called, but first I want to mention a story that has nothing to do with the election. WNBA star Brittany Griner has been moved to one of those penal colonies, a work camp in Russia, where she's meant to start serving her sentence for drug possession. And these work camp / detention centers are infamous for the horrible treatment of the detainees. They work around the clock for little or no pay, and the conditions are said to be much worse than those she's been held in up to now.
Yeah, really sad to hear. This is, I equate this with torture, right? I mean, they are torturing Brittany now at this point, and not just at this point. It is a form of torture. It's such a difficult position for the president, but it's very clear to us, which is bring her home, right? And with all of the influence and with all of the might of the U.S. government, it needs to be brought to bear to bring her home. And it is, it's one of these things with the administration. You feel like they're working. You don't know all of the things that they're doing. But I would suspect, and I would, prefer to hear more about sanctions on oligarchs, that everything that we're doing to try to get her back. Just offering a swap and a trade doesn't seem to, satisfy. There definitely seems to be more that can be done to try to get her home.
Yeah, and that's why I want to keep talking about it. I just don't want us to forget. So, on to the election and some of the things we do know. We do know Senator Alex Padilla has won. He becomes the first Latino elected to the Senate from California. He, of course, was appointed by Governor Newsom to replace Kamala Harris when she went to join Joe Biden in the White House.
Yeah, no, that's right. It's kind of good news, old news. We knew this, but when he was appointed, I think he had the task of actually running on the ballot twice in the primary, right, to fill the unfulfilled seat and then to be reelected. We've had a chance to work with Alex Padilla through the years, and his vision as Secretary of State was so inclusive of all communities, making sure that the vote was administered well, that access was there for all communities. And he's been an incredible voice in just a short amount of time in the Senate already. So
I think that's a really good point about his work as Secretary of State, because, comparing California to Nevada, which is right next door, and how easy it is to vote here. You get it in the mail. You can go to any vote center. There's tons of drop boxes. It's like, they want you to vote. We've got the motor voter where you can register through the DMV. And over one state over, long lines and chaos. And I do think that Secretary of State Shirley Weber and the prior Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, deserve a lot of credit for that.
A lot of credit, and in the days of elections, we always start with California as leading the way, and we help to show the country how to be its best version. Because too often you're seeing secretaries of state across the country find ways to limit the vote. The question of voter suppression is a very real topic, particularly in the South, right?
Yeah.
The role that played in the Georgia election. And so, again, kudos to Senator Padilla on his election. We look forward to his voice in the Senate.
Governor Gavin Newsom reelected in California, not a surprise at all, but a done deal.
Yeah, indeed. You look at this one and you can just see sort of the inept side of the Republican Party, right? And how it really is just a shell of a party here in California. It really is unable to mount any statewide candidacy based on, largely the policies. We just talked about California leading the way, but the Republican Party that does so well, in the Deep South, just doesn't have a foothold in California, and it makes me happy to live in California for that.
Yeah, same. Speaking of statewide offices, it looks like at least in the early returns, African American candidate Malia Cohen is leading for controller.
Yeah, that's and you mentioned African American candidates, and you look at Malia, you look at Shirley Weber as Secretary of State, Tony Thurmond as Superintendent of Education. We've got some strong candidates on the statewide side. And last night we were talking about the number of African Americans that were running for governor and or senator. In California, we've got some well-positioned African Americans to seek higher office. Our next governor may come from that lot. Our next senator may come from that lot. And it's an important thing to keep an eye on. Kudos to California.
Yeah, and Rob Bonta, who's Filipino, also leading for Attorney General. So there's another statewide office with that possible springboard piece to it. Proposition 26 and 27, which were advertised in a very confusing manner, but both were to legalize sports gambling, have both failed.
Yeah, I think, I think generally propositions like that are going to have a hard bar to get to passing, right? And the amount of confusion around the two of them didn't make it any easier for these. These are probably topics that should have been handled through the legislature and not put to a vote. So.
Yeah, but it's a defeat for online gambling and for some of the casinos, and they spent a lot of money, close to $1 billion, I understand, to promote these two measures. I call it a form of wealth redistribution, but certainly it wasn't an effective way to get what they wanted politically.
Yeah, it wasn't like this was around an issue of addressing a shortfall in education, addressing, some measure of health. This was about creating, to your point, and getting people to vote for that just seems like a hard sell. Vote for my ability to make money. I don't think it's going to ever fly like that. So.
Well, again, we don't have final results. Shirley Weber leading comfortably, though. Malia Cohen appears to be leading. Ricardo Lara, Tony Thurmond, as you pointed out. I'm surprised they haven't called that one, but I guess they just haven't counted enough votes yet. Fiona Ma, Democrats, not surprisingly, doing quite well in most of the statewide offices here. Alex Padilla, that has been called. He won. He had to be voted in twice to finish the term and have a new term. And many of these other sort of offices, I would say too close to call. But Proposition 1, we know, has passed.
Yeah, and Proposition 1, really particularly the conversation around abortion nationwide, huge. And I think it played a significant role last night. We were talking about some of these races and how Democrats were winning. What's appearing in the exit polls is how strong the female vote was for Democratic candidates, and a lot of the response to the Hobbs decision is fueling that, and so no surprise that Prop 1 ran really well in California. I think north of 65%. I don't have it up in front of me.
So far, yeah, and still counting. But you're right. That's a big one, and we talked about 31. That one is the one you worked on, the flavored tobacco. That one has definitely won, as has 28. 28 has definitely won as well. I would have thought it would have been like 99% to 1. It was closer than I would have expected. But that said, it has passed to provide money, designated money from the existing budget to provide arts in schools, in public schools.
Yeah, to your point, you would hope that it would be like 99 to 1. But you do see there is a conservative base, and I don't know that it's conservative. It just is. There is a group that always feels like, no, I don't want to spend our resources on anything, right?
Right.
You take the victory and be glad that enough people see vision in the arts, right? That's a huge win for Austin Butner as sort of the author and architect of that proposition.
And for our children, I would say, definitely for our children. I saw District 26 State Senator dancing rather happily at a party for Congresswoman Karen Bass last night. I'll tell you who that was, and we'll unpack more of these election results when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk. And we don't black down.
It's the holiday season. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. Some things to look forward to this holiday season. Whitney fans, Whitney Houston's estate to release fragrance in her honor, reportedly marking one of the first official endorsement deals for the late singer. Available through the Home Shopping Network, Set Beauty, and even Walmart by mid-November. And fans are also thrilled to see the Best Man franchise back on screen. This time as a limited series debuting in December on Peacock. I just love the holidays. What are you most excited about this season? Tweet us to let us know at KBLA 1580, #KBlackMinuteHoliday.
Going out big, staying in snug. Whatever you're up to this holiday season, Ulta Beauty has everything you need to add a little bit of shimmer and a whole lot of shine. Because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday. Shop fan-favorite brands like Fenty, Dyson, and Drunk Elephant. Plus so much more. Now's the time to glow your way. Go ahead and visit your local Ulta Beauty or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are...
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California, with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
So you tested positive for COVID. What's next? Treat yourself. There are free COVID treatments available. Taken by pill, these medications can stop the illness from getting serious. So treat yourself. Call a healthcare provider or the statewide COVID hotline at 833-422-4255 to find free treatment today. Again, that's 833-422-4255. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the truth of Africatown at Leimert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the drum circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other conscious black people. Experience black excellence every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown at Leimert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
Health is Wealth and Medicare and Covered California's open enrollment for medical insurance is here. RHJ Insurance Agency can help you find affordable rates and the plan that's just right for you and your family. Call 562-204-6120 for your free quote. Don't leave your health to chance. Open enrollment is here and affordable coverage is just a phone call away. Call 562-204-6120. And get the coverage you need. Go to www.rhjins.com.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
Ed Sanders is with me, and I'm still back at your opening line. Where was the red wave? I'll tell you where it wasn't. The party for Congresswoman Karen Bass. And it was packed. They had music. They had a lot of lawmakers there. And Senator Maria Elena Durazo was dancing, and she should be dancing. So far, she's got 78% of the vote in her race, which is pretty much of I would say, a beatdown.
Well, she's been one of the stronger legislators, and we've had an opportunity to work with Maria Elena through the years. Solid on issues that are not just of importance to the state, but particularly to the African American community, right? And so, as we look across the state and look at allies that we can count on, it's really nice to see Maria Elena being so thought of well in her district.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, she has been a solid ally and coalition builder. Two black women running against each other to replace a black woman in Congress, Sydney Kamlager and Jan Perry. Sydney Kamlager with a pretty strong lead. She's out 61 to 39%, but of course we're still counting votes there.
Still counting votes, but look, the momentum for the current state senator in Sydney Kamlager is really strong. This is an important seat nationally, and this is a seat that was held by Diane Watson to Karen Bass, and now it looks like it's going to go to Sydney Kamlager. When we look at the Congressional Black Caucus across this country, certainly Maxine Waters has been an incredible voice in Congress.
Oh yeah, and she pounded her opponent too. You know what? I'm seeing this other report on a different website ad that they are saying now that they're calling it for Kamlager, that she has won that seat. Yeah.
Yeah, even in sort of those early returns, I don't see a trend line that changes.
Yeah.
There's not a.
They're saying 100% counted, so that's pretty much a W. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a done deal. So and so the point being when we look at leadership across this country, that's a very important seat and a very important voice for us, and really looking forward to Sydney occupying that in D.C.
And Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who you just mentioned, also pounding her opponent Omar Navarro, another well-funded Republican, but Congresswoman Maxine Waters doing what she does best, winning.
winning, and listen, I think back to that last cycle with that funny guy that was running against her, and how the Republicans had put him up against her. It's such a beautiful thing to see the support that Maxine occupies, right? It gives her all of the bolstering that she needs in order to do the work that she needs to do, right? She is one of the leaders in finance and obviously chairs the Banking and Finance Committee, and that has always been such a critical role that she's occupied. And so really always happy that the district returns her back to Congress so strongly.
Yeah, I love that. Again, looking at the Congress, this really ugly race in Orange County, Michelle Steele versus Jay Chen, two Asian Americans, where there were racist tropes and protests and all that. The Republican Michelle Steele using some really sort of stereotypes against Jay Chen, the Chinese American there, and it was successful for her. She won 55% to 45%. Orange County leans Republican anyway, but sad to see that such an ugly race would wind up, with those tactics prevailing.
Yeah, and it's to your point, it's Orange County. It's not my neck of the woods. You would hope that sort of negative, sort of dog whistle wouldn't take hold. But to your point, it is Orange County, and it's going to do well. I did see that Katie Porter was leading slightly in her race in Orange County, and
yeah. Well, let's talk about that when we come forward, because I'm confused, and maybe you can unconfuse me. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
We don't try to be all things to all people. We just remain true to who we are. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Show them who we are.
KBLA Talk 1580 has not one, but two Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend giveaways for KBLA Talk 1580 listeners. Friday, November 11th starts your weekend with a private screening of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, dinner for two, and an overnight stay at the W Hotel Hollywood. On Saturday, be our guest to the KBLA Wakanda Forever brunch and pool party. Win a KBLA Wakanda Forever weekend at the W Hotel Hollywood. It's simple to enter. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app and enter to win. Two winners will be announced Thursday, November 10th. Listen to KBLA Talk 1580 to find out if you will experience the KBLA Talk 1580 Wakanda Forever weekend, starting Friday, November 11th at the W Hotel Hollywood. Black Panther Wakanda Forever private screening, dinner for two, overnight stay at the W Hotel Hollywood, brunch and pool party on Saturday. Download the KBLA app and enter to win the KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend. Black Panther Wakanda Forever opens November 11th in theaters nationwide, but there's only one way to win the KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app and enter. The KBLA Talk 1580 Black Panther Wakanda Forever weekend is sponsored by Top Shelf Getaways.
Only the most broken people can be great leaders.
Finding the right Medicare plan? Oof, no easy feat. Kind of like those dances my granddaughter loves making me do. But then I found Walgreens FindRx coverage. Lets you compare plans online, over the phone, or in person. Made Medicare shopping so easy. Plus, I found plans with low-cost copays. I can get down with that. Medicare annual enrollment ends December 7th. Find a plan that's right for you at walgreens.com/Medicare.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, time flies, Ed Sanders. So Katie Porter is beating Scott Bow by 1,000 votes. It's 50% to 50%, though. Is it 50% plus one vote, or is it 51%? I mean, because 100% of the votes are counted.
Yeah, if all the votes are counted, then it's the one vote tips the balance of power in that. So you're just trying to get 50% plus one vote.
So she won,
and that would. Well, it's still early because I don't know that they've called that race, right? I think the count is in. There's still ballots to come in via mail over the next couple days.
They're saying 100%, but there could still be some stragglers.
Right. You expect ballots in the mail at least through the weekend.
Wow. Okay. So that with 1,000 votes separating them, that isn't much. About 30 seconds here, Ed Sanders. What do you want to leave us with this morning?
Wow, just, Dominique, thank you. It was an incredible night last night. Obviously you look at some of the issues. We didn't really talk about slavery being on the ballot in a few states, and looks like, folks saw that for what it is. But we roll up our sleeves and get to work. The midterms are more or less done, and, the work still continues. So we just know who's where, and we get back to work.
Yeah, it's well said. Ed Sanders, thank you for being my partner in politics, rain and shine, and more rain. You've got news, traffic, and sports, then your phone calls on KBLA, Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.